Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next NSL Live Talk. And we have, I think, we have a first time guest here, or at least on our online meetings here, which is Kirk Verner on the bottom. Hi, Kirk. Thanks for doing it.
No problem.
Kirk, active member of Airspeed XB8 right now. And then on the top left, David, who we know by now, David Grauwels, Hayabusa member. We've had him as a guest quite a few times in the past. So there is a reason why we have you two together here now. We'll get to that in a second. But before that, I would like to, first of all, find out where everybody is and what you're doing. David, you're probably at home as last time. I think I recognize that now with the picture behind you there.
Yes. I'm still at home. I haven't left the house, I think, in months for now. We're still waiting for the world to start turning, I think. So no, I'm still at home with all my girls.
Well, good for you. You have your hands full there now. Anyway, congratulations.
No, for sure. Anyway. Diapers.
Do you get some sleep by now?
Yeah, we sleep perfectly. I mean, I haven't slept with my wife since a month now because we sleep separately. I take care of the elder girl. She's about Elena's like 1 year and a half, and Kim takes care about the youngest now. She's like 3 weeks. So we both sleep separately, like very well, I have to say.
That's
better
great.
than expected.
And
like
Kirk, you're not at home.
No, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the USPA board meeting.
Yeah, so you're going from board meeting to board meeting.
Yeah. It's
full-time
normal that this happens, but normally we would be in person wherever we were going to be, but now with the Zoom meeting, and now we have almost every board member is here. We only have like 4 or 5 board members that aren't here, but everybody else is in person.
That's great that you have a little bit freedom to move, at least in the United States here, while David is kind of locked in there, I guess, more or less.
Yeah.
Has built a wall around, and all the countries have built walls now.
I mean, we are allowed to travel, but they made it so very hard that it's almost impossible to cross borders. And then the plus is that the army does not allow us to travel because they see it as a non-essential travel at all. So the politics now made it so difficult that it's almost impossible to cross borders.
Wow.
But not only here, you also in Germany and France, it's kind of the similar situation.
Yeah, and still it seems so difficult to get any control over this thing, right? It's still everywhere.
I mean, last week, there was a positive point last week. They said that in half of February, you could go back to the hairdresser, that they would open up the hairdressers again. And we're now 1 week later, and it seems like this is not going to happen. It's worse than before. It's really going into the wrong direction again. They're already talking about like the 3rd wave coming up with the variant of the British coronavirus seems to be like a little bit more transferable, and they're very cautious with the new variants. And so we just stay at home. We wait until good weather comes.
Yeah.
you look well taken care of as your hairstyle, though. So you have your private hairdresser or hairstylist there, I guess.
Me or Kirk? Yeah, I do it myself. I did it myself.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good.
Well, maybe
a mirror image, eh? It's a mirror image. If you're good at it, then you know, kind of like, okay, I need to keep my trimmer like that, and then you can do it. Mirror image. Yeah. It's not easy, but throughout the years you'll learn it.
I even keep forgetting how to do this thing here. So
It's now 5 millimeters, so I think it's more than short enough.
All right, guys. Here's another interesting thing before we go. I mean, everybody knows by now that you are multiple world champions, but the interesting thing is, David, or let's begin with Kirk on the bottom. 2 times 4-way world champion. I'm not even talking about, you know, the 8-way titles, but 2 times, and then 95, 97, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
we tried again in 99, but and you won in 99, but in 8-way, not in 4-way.
8-way, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So almost 3 times. And then David on the top left, Hayabusa member, you have won 3 times.
Hey, but still, Kirk is my hero. Yeah. When I started skydiving, that airspeed lineup was for me was heaven to look at it. So for me, Kirk and all the guys are heroes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're no. Thank you, Kirk, for giving me the path of.
Yeah, man. You guys are the men now.
I mean, I hope I still am now. Like that people look up to us like we looked up to you. I hope that some kids do that. But 20 years ago, I mean, yeah, for sure you were one of my heroes.
Thank you.
Well, I had a 16-year-old young lady in the wind tunnel yesterday at one of our kickers, the tunnel kickers, and she is all ready to become the next generation. It was interesting. She was great.
Cool.
Wow.
And they're coming everywhere. We see France, Czech Republic, Paraclete, probably.
Sure.
Anyhow, so the interesting thing is now going back into the past, world champions in 95, 97, 99, world champions in 2014, 16, 18. But you, both of you, I don't think you have ever been, you're still active. You know, Kirk tries to become a world champion in 8-way this year, hopefully. And Dave again in 4-way this year with Hayabusa. But I don't think you have ever been on the same leaderboard. Have you?
Maybe Malevsky.
Malevsky
Cup in 2005.
Yeah, that wasn't in Russia. Maybe yes.
I think in 2005, Malevsky. Well, we were I don't know, 3rd or 4th, I think.
Yeah. We won the European Championship for the first time. Yeah. So I think that must be the first and the last one then.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, so it's very unique if it has happened. So I'm going to check 2005 Malevsky. But you were with Airspeed still by then, Kirk, or was it?
I was with I was still with Airspeed. I'm not very good sometimes with remembering exactly the lineup on Airspeed, but it was I think myself and Dennis Rook. Man, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
One of the variants. It was Odyssey, and then we were Dragon, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah, Odyssey.
My mind's not great with that.
Odyssey or Velocity, maybe Velocity and Odyssey or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll find it. So maybe one time, you know, you've been on the same leaderboard. Isn't that amazing? You know, you're still active, but it has basically never happened.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's generation. Huh? I think two generations are like kind of like not overlapping each other. Maybe that was the first and the last one. And I mean, it's nice, and I think one of those next few years, I mean, you will see the next one coming up, and maybe doing one competition, the last competition with me. So, don't know. I think it's just the end of an era. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with that. I think.
I'm just saying it's amazing because both of you are still active competitors now. You know, so yes, generation after generation is happening anyway, but both of you are going for world championships right now, and still you've never been in the same leaderboard. You know, I mean, maybe once. Yeah. So anyhow, you may not be on the same leaderboard, but you're going to the same events, competing in 4-way and 8-way. But not only that, those events, you are going to board meetings, and you are functionaries. You can, you know, I don't know how you call them officially, delegates for your countries. David,
delegate.
ISC delegate for Belgium, and Kirk, same delegate for the United States, right?
Yes.
How long have you been doing this, Kirk? And what motivated you actually to do this on top of your coaching, your competing, and all that kind of stuff?
Me?
Kirk. Let's begin with Kirk.
Yes, sorry. Well, I think when I got on the USPA board, will be my 10th year. I had that thing where I just didn't want to be that guy that just complained about USPA. And so I ran for the board, got on the board, and became the delegate, which kind of made sense, kind of where I was competitively wise. And I just, I think it's more of like with USPA, I wanted to make sure that it kind of had this stigma that it was an old boys club, and they would get things done. And so, that was one thing. I just wanted to make sure that, that was staying on track and things like that. And you find that when you get in there, like any democracy, it's hard to make any kind of major changes, right? It's just, you kind of have to go along to get along. And, but, I kind of learned about how the all worked, and how, and I found out that actually USPA and the members, and of course, the ISC delegates as well, they're really trying to do good work, and while you don't agree with everything sometimes with people in meetings, it wasn't that they were trying to do anything incorrect. They were really trying to work hard and are. So that was kind of where it went. And then I stayed as the delegate, although I'm not running for USPA again. I said that after 10 years, I think that USPA boards and boards generally need change. They need new people in there, new insight, and I don't want it to be stale. So after this year and then the meeting in Bulgaria, Bucharest.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be my last meeting, but I'm going to keep my eyes in there and all that stuff, of course, but yeah, I think it was, more so to just not just complain about something and be part of it. And then as well, I really was educating myself that, people were they're trying to do the right thing for skydiving. They don't always get it right, but they really were.
And David, you have a USPA in Belgium.
No, well,
Belgium.
I think yes, but it's not spread out. I mean, if you have the license, it's nice, and you can jump in Belgium. I think we have our own insurance and federation, let's say.
Yeah, but you have a. I mean, yes, USPA doesn't reach out. Has no, authority in Belgium. But you have the Belgian Skydiving Federation. How's it called?
It's actually, in English, it's the Belgium Skydive Federation, but we have two. We have the Flemish part, and then the other one is actually the Walloon part. So the French-speaking and then the Flemish-speaking part of it. And
when did you join?
I did my first ISC meeting in Faro, and I was 2018, I guess. Yeah.
But you had to be in the board of the Belgian Federation before that, I guess.
Well, I got asked, and then first I was the alternate delegate, and then 1 year later, because I liked it so much, and then I became the delegate, like the first delegate of Belgium. So I was the alternate delegate first, and because I liked it so much, and I just asked to be the delegate in the first one. So I became the first delegate of Belgium.
So why did you like it so much?
I represent a little bit more like the athletes. I try not to look at what Belgium really wants, but I try to see what does an athlete, because there are so many inputs from different kind of disciplines, because we only talk now about formation skydiving and outdoor, indoor, but there are so many different disciplines that you have to take in your account, and you have to make sure that every decision that will be made actually works for everybody, not just for formation skydiving, male or female or junior, but actually the whole community. And it's sometimes difficult to see if you cross this one, does it affect the other one? So I try to be a little bit like a liaison between all the athletes in Belgium, and not so much, the board itself. Like Belgium is totality. Although we do not have that much skydivers like Kirk, for example, has. I think his job is more spread out. He has much more disciplines to handle. I think for Belgium, it's kind of like 4 in total. It's not so much. Yeah. But I like to look at it in a world kind of view. Like, is it good for everybody? And sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Once you are at the meetings, like now, you just met all in Bucharest. You didn't really, but it was supposed to be. we talk about this in a second, but when you are at the meetings, then there are commissions which are taking care of the categories or the sports or the events. Kirk, can you explain how this is structured and organized?
Sure. Yeah, there's committees for every discipline, and then you know, there's all kinds of, like, FS is a big discipline. So there's the people that are on the FS committee, and like David and myself, and then there's a lot of advisors as well. We keep a lot of, ask all the right people all the right questions, and so, you know, so each discipline has that, right? So you have wingsuiting, canopy piloting, everybody's got the same thing, a chairman of it, and of the committee. And then, you know, as over the year, from competitor meetings after meets, and just as competitors now with the digital world that can give you what they think we should do, then they make an agenda, and then we talk about the agenda, and then, you know, we decide, you know, all different kinds of things, you know, for what we do. And I think that's the same for all of them. They look at the rules, and that's one thing that's different with, like, the ISC and the USPA, is that ISC is just competition. That's what they're there for, and records. And USPA has safety and training and all the other stuff, you know. So with ISC, it's actually it's kind of a nice change. It's just like David said, just about the athletes. And so, you know, everyone's got that. And I think, you know, as a competitor, you have to understand this tier, right? That the FAI, ISC, and then your own NAC, so that you, like I said, I'm not just a person out there complaining, right? If you want to change, there's a way to, you know, at least get your voice heard. And you contact the committee chair and say, hey, I think this is an issue. And then, of course, we have a judging committee, and the judges have excellent input about what's good for them too, you know, because it's a combined effort for sure at meets. So, you know, it's I think the committees do really good. And when we have that, when you have the committees report out, and if I don't know something about, you know, one of the disciplines, I don't know as much about that discipline, I trust the committee. I trust them completely, that they're there for a reason. And, you know, we let them kind of handle it inside the committee.
So then the committees, they,
if you look at it,
David?
sorry, if you look at it, for example, on the formation skydiving committee, the formation skydiving is as old as dinosaurs almost. So it's an easy committee. There not so many things have to be changed. Once in a while, you come up with a new dive like pool that skydivers want to see changed, but not so much about rules itself. And for example, there are new categories, new disciplines, like the indoor freestyle or free fly indoor. It's kind of new, and they're constantly developing, constantly chatting with this needs to be changed, and then a year later that rule needs to be changed, and then they have to talk with the judges and the rules and regulations. And so you can see that once it's a new discipline, it's much harder to form that work. And then every year again it gets changed. So for us, it's kind of like let the train just roll. It's on a good track. And for the other one, it's more like, yeah, this works, and then a year later it didn't work so well, so let's rephrase it or do some other housekeeping. And you can see that there's much more going on, like in free fly and freestyle.
Yeah, agreed.
I remember when VFS was introduced to our formation skydiving agenda, and yes, there was always a lot of discussion about VFS at the open meetings, and not about 4-way, 8-way much. So yeah, I can see that quite easily. So then the commissions or the committees, they come up with suggestions and proposals and all this kind of stuff after deliberating at the meetings. But then the decision has to be made about any change by the plenary, right? For all.
Correct.
And
that is correct. But I think most people kind of trust the committee. You know what I mean? They vote, but, you know, I don't think that, again, that when sometimes you get some rule change and you think it's going to be controversial, and it might be inside committee, you know, and you get it sorted out, and then it goes to the plenary and people are just like, okay, they don't, you know what I mean? They're not cross-pollinating that much.
Have you ever, you or David, Have you ever experienced yet in your time with the ISC that a proposal went to the plenary meeting and it was rejected?
Sure, constantly, but not so much information or the older disciplines. It's more about the new ones or rules and regulations like finances. Finances is a very, like, every year again, it's such a enormous block, and they want to do the right thing, because if not, it looks like the FAI is going bankrupt. And every year again, they're like overloading you with information and numbers, and they want to vote for something that actually will steer it in a good way or in a different way, and then eventually doesn't get like voted at the plenary at all.
Yeah.
So finances, judging material, like swoop and whatever, there's a lot more fighting going on. And actually sometimes you also like what you kind of missed now is once you're in a meeting, at the meeting itself with all the delegates, once there is, for example, a break, then the delegates start talking with each other, kind of like lobbying with each other. Hey, what do you think about that rule? And can you not like vote for in my favor? Because so it's kind of like lobbying with each other, and then that's something what you miss now when you're sitting at your home. You do not have that one-to-one like talk. It's much more harder. And I think it went like very smooth after all. We had like a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, like 2 weeks ago, of open hearing, open meeting, and then the plenary was actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And yes, it took a little bit longer, and it was not that easy for everybody. I mean, it was easy for me because I had it like around noon, but I think Kirk was much more earlier, and then for example, New Zealand was late at night. So finding a global time for everybody to it took a lot of effort. I think they did a hell of a good job managing that, and also the delegate, just by staying awake at 3 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, was not easy.
Yeah,
so you kind of missed that.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree totally with David. And I think the other thing that it missed, that it lacks doing it by Zoom, is that there's a collaborative creativity when you're with each other. And it just makes it kind of sterile, which you need some of that so that people don't ramble on and, hey, we've got to get stuff done. But that whole creativity part, isn't really quite there. Like not for, at least from my experience. That we got it done, got out of there, but it was sterile. And I think sometimes when you have that, what David was explaining, is super important of hearing what people really mean when they're asking for something.
Yeah, difficult. Everything is difficult these days. Well, let's cut to the chase now. So we have some information that maybe the audience does not know yet. I don't know if anybody is really seriously interested. Can you already find a documentation of this anywhere, so we can post this link to somewhere where you find what was decided and what's new and the schedule and all that?
I think from experience, I think the documents will come out officially from the 1st of March. I think they're now like making them in a paper, and I think they're downloadable from the 1st of March. So I think sooner or later, maybe in 2-3 weeks, you will find them for sure.
Yep.
We'll look it up, and then we can. At least I can do it on the NSL website, and then hopefully, they're all the social platforms now anyway. I guess you call them, so where it will spread easily. Maybe it will be a super spreader, the link to so what do you say? It goes viral. We'll go viral. Well, give us an overview, please, of the important things. What was going on in Bucharest, which was not in Bucharest, but on the computers all over the planet? What do you think was important?
You want to go after?
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, so major is actually the Mondial is still ongoing. I think many athletes doubted, and even between me and Kirk, actually, we also doubted, and eventually we both agree, and also the FAI wants it to happen, money-wise for sure, because it generates a lot of money. But not only that, I think a lot of athletes would love to have a championship this year, and I fully understand. So the Mondial is going forward, although there are still some thoughts about Corona. So it's not 100% sure yet. Yes, the Mondial is going forward, the planning and whatever, but they're still handling travel restrictions or restriction because of Corona. And so bear with me here. If we look to the future, this was 2021. 2022 in April, there will be an indoor World Cup in Belgium. So I welcome the world to come to a safe place, to a safe haven, I hope. And then 2022 October, you will have a World Championship in Eloy as agreed. And very luckily, between the World Cup in Vos and the host in Eloy, they came to some sort of an agreement that the World Cup will be postponed. The World Cup of Vos will be postponed to the end of August 2023. And then in the meanwhile, between Eloy and Vos, you will have an indoor World Championship in Slovakia. In short.
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
Sure. But would you say, as of the World Championship this year, if I understand this correctly, everybody wants it to take place, but it's not guaranteed yet?
Well, they also have the CAS ruling on the Russian WADA ban, right? So that came in like mid-December, maybe early to mid-December. The CAS came back and reduced it to a 2-year ban instead of a 4-year. But in that, it says they can't run any world championships. And so when 2020 was going, they knew this was all going on. But while it was still in arbitration, they were still able to run it. So now they say that they're still having the FAI lawyers look into this. I think they're negotiating probably with WADA about that there's a loophole in there that says if Russia has a world championships of any kind in any sport, that they can run it if it's nearly impossible to move it. And that's what they're looking at, right? That's going to be their loophole, not loophole, but that's going to be the rule they're going to look at and say, we can't move 7 world meets in this time frame. And then the other part of that is that, you know, realistically, and I understand WADA's, you know, their reasoning behind their ban, but with skydiving, it's not really relevant, you know, and I think that part is going to be okay. I think what David said, I think the COVID thing will be the most restricting part of this. I think they're going to see that that Tanai really wants to run a great meet. They've been spending money and they're working feverishly to get it done. They have a very good safety. It sounds like they have an excellent safety protocol for COVID in place. And so they're really charging ahead. But I'm with David. I think that anything that would possibly shut it down would be travel restrictions, or you can't go to Russia if something crazy happens, even with all the vaccinations popping up and stuff. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. You know, luckily for us, we can continue to train. I'm very empathetic for Hayabusa and all, and the French and everybody that is being, you know, denied. So hopefully, you know, they'll get on top of it somehow with the vaccinations. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, we're training. We personally are going full speed ahead. I leave Monday to Arizona for 10 days. You know, another 100 jump camp coming up. So we're going to keep charging, and hopefully the European countries are going to get a reprieve here. You know, maybe early spring, but like what David said, when the weather comes back and they can train hard. And you know, and it's always a weird thing not training, you know, and but what works for people. Sometimes, you know, putting it in a small period of time is actually good, especially in you know, Hayabusa's situation, that if they're the current champions and taking something away from them, a champion is harder than you could ever imagine. So they could start early in the spring and continue their domination 100%.
Is that how you feel, David? I mean, you know, It is actually, it gives everybody else a chance to maybe keep up with Hayabusa or catch up with Hayabusa. It makes the World Championship possibly more interesting.
I don't know. Time will tell, and it's so hard to make plans because every time again they get changed or denied or canceled. So even within the team, we like I said. I mean, like I said earlier, last week there was like a little bit of a hope situation, and that already got flunked so hard that eventually we said like, okay, the team is on hold until further notice. So I don't know. I mean, I hope definitely. I hope April to restart, and I hope that the guys can start in the tunnel much sooner. But it doesn't look that it's going to be happening before April. But on the other hand, that's like Kirk also said, like if you're not allowed to do anything, and then at a certain moment you are allowed, it's like you're unleashing the hounds, you're unleashing the dogs, and you're so eager to train and to will, and so who knows? Maybe we just need that 4 or 5 months to get ready, and that's more than plenty. You don't know. Time will tell.
Well, last question. If I get this correctly, also, then we have a World Championship information skydiving competition this year, and then another one next year. If everything goes, as it is planned at this point in time. Do you remember, Kirk? We couldn't find out. I was asking, like, Exi and people from longer ago, if anybody recalls the reasoning why the rotation was changed in 2003 when it went from the odd years to the even years.
It was to get in line with a World Air Games, I believe. I think that's what that was behind.
Games. Okay.
There was a World Air Games that included 4-way and canopy piloting and maybe artistic. And if I'm correct in that, I think that's the one that Airspeed went to with Craig and Neil and Johnny Eagle and Mark. And was it maybe Japan?
Yes, Japan. I think. So what happened?
That's what they were doing.
Who is hosting the World Air Games? Who is the organization behind it?
I think it's Alabama. Is it that one that?
No, I mean in general. Is it FAI event or what? It's an FAI event.
Yes.
But now, I mean, there in the past you also had formation skydiving, but now it's only for swoop.
Yeah, just CP. It's a World Games.
Oh, so right now we don't have to be in sync with them anymore because we're not a part of it anyway.
No.
Oh, interesting. So FAI decides basically which disciplines will be participating in
cooperation with the host, because I think it costs so much money that they can decide which discipline they want to present to the audience.
Yep.
And I think they already tried it with FS, and it's sometimes hard to live stream it to an audience, like at the Olympics, for example, or whatever. And I think in CP you can see it in front of your eyes. You can have a stage where the people are sitting, if allowed, and then you can just watch it in front of your nose. And that's it's more different than, for example, like formation skydiving with that air to ground video. Sometimes the system didn't work. It was hard.
Yeah,
to keep
exactly it.
And the World Air Games are taking place every 2 years, every 4 years. Does it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think 4.
Well, because it's a major event to organize. Yeah, I think it was 4, and I think it was actually it was 2022. Yeah.
Okay, so in 2004 the reason was synchronizing it with the World Air Games, and now from between 2021 and 2022 it's synchronizing it with the COVID-19. I mean,
just to remind you, Kurt, if the Mondial does not get placed, it will not get bounced backwards in the next few years. So, or it happens, or not, and then it will not bounce like 2022 or 2023. If it's done, it will be for 2024 or later in the following years. If they still won't. Just to give that information to you.
Yeah, they're not gonna push back again. They push back a year, and if they can't do it now, then Russia will have to rebid for 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, I think a big thing that we talked about on the committee was, and we've certainly had the talk here, that and not only what David said about ISC, you know, needing you know, they need it. That's where they get their money, is from competitions, and that's definitely a part of it. But also just, man, Scott, I mean, without having a competition for 2 years, it really hurts it. I mean, we're gonna see Larry will have a nationals in 2021, you know, and we're gonna have a real look at, you know, how much, if any, shrinkage there was in teams, you know. You know, if we normally have 70 teams in 4-way and 25 to 30 teams in 8-way, and you know, we're going to know, you know, how much effect it has, and certainly at a world level, it could have a huge effect if, you know, some countries are just not allowed to go anywhere. So, you know, we hopefully, you know, like I said, we'll get it mitigated somehow, the COVID situation, and you know, we'll be able to get back to competing, because it's super important, and it's what the ISC is built around, you know. And even USPA, one of the things that the top 3 things they do is to select and a US team and get them to competitions, make competitions. So
yep. Well, let's hope for the best for this year.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this, for sharing your experience and your information, all that, with the audience. You know, I'm glad that we can do that. Closing statements, David. What do you have to tell the community to, besides hang in there, stay healthy, be well?
Well, I mean, I know I haven't prepared anything, but I just think hang in, and sooner or later the sun will start shining again. So for sure, me personally, I'm really looking forward, because it was snowing today, and I know that the sun is right around the corner. I have to hang in there, and it will happen. It will start to happen for sure. I believe in it.
Kirk.
Yeah, and I think the same thing is, you know, you can use any situation to, you know, better yourself. And, you know, it's a good time to, you know, make sure that you're healthy. And, you know, I think an even more important time now that we see, you know, something like this come along and you know, hurt people that aren't completely healthy, and even people that are in some cases. But, you know, you learn to, you know, get yourself in good shape and take care of yourselves and all that stuff, and as soon as you can, get back in there. Like David said, once you have time off and then getting back in there, that energy is a very good feeling, you know. So
and visualize.
Watch
That's
videos,
right.
visualize, watch videos, get on the ground, practice your body position, the moves. So much stuff you can do at home, actually, right?
Yeah, but not only skydiving. Yeah, visualize that it will happen again. Eh? Visualize.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, guys.
It was wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
All the good for you. All the best.
See you soon.
See ya.